Hey y'all, what's up? My name is Millennial Smart and I'm back at it again with another video. I wanted to talk about this last night, but I wanted the Britt Baker video to come out first, let that sink in first, and then we actually have this discussion, because I'm not gonna lie, it didn't really cross my mind until I heard a bunch of people talk about it, even some of my own comment section who were referencing it, and it really made me think about it, and it's starting to float around in my brain. Now, to be fair, obviously, I have no proof. As I stated in the Britt Baker video, whenever I talk about these things, always make it a point to notate the fact that you don't have proof. It's not true as far as evidence being presented, and make note of the fact that what you're saying is merely just opinion. It's coming from your mind. It's you just, I don't know, essentially having a theory, right? So I'm not gonna make jokes about it, just like I said about the Britt Baker stuff, because it's not true. It is what it is, right? But it is very, very suspicious. And it makes you wonder and sit down and ponder as to whether or not it actually is happening. So as you know, Britt Baker, all the stuff that's surrounding around her personal life, she's now gone out of her way to legitimately question, right? Every right to. You come into someone's personal life, if they want to talk about it, they have every right to want to talk about it, right? Especially when, you know, essentially they're being smeared. I was smearing her too. But I notice you never really see these things naturally occur for the people who are currently working within AEW, right? It's always these kind of news tidbits coming out when the person is leaving the company, or if the person is currently at that moment having problems within the company, right? Like, people would automatically obviously point to something like CM Punk and what happened with him in the media. You know, none of this backstage stuff was necessarily coming out about CM Punk until after he started to crash out with AEW, right? It's not as if all this worker rights stuff and the Colt Cabana stuff that came out in 2022 obviously didn't occur in 2021. Maybe even during the time when he was signing the contract with AEW, none of this stuff was coming out. Not until obviously he started to have problems did this stuff started to get leaked out. And more started to get leaked out, and more started to get leaked out, you know, to the point that we now know what happened with Larry the Dog during the whole scramble as to whether or not he was hurt in the melee or whatever. Like, what the fuck? Shit like that, for an example, right? We have a whole goddamn bibliography as far as the whole situation regarding CM Punk and AEW, when none of that stuff even came out damn near a year before he even started with the company, or after he started with the company, excuse me. Obviously, in recent weeks, recent months, the stuff that's been going on with Penta, Phoenix, and AEW. Come on, right? You know, from my understanding, the whole Jon Moxley stuff going on with the Death Riders is kind of an art imitating life situation, right? They're taking all the grievances in regards to the wrestlers backstage, and they want to paint that to be a story in regards to Jon Moxley wanting to rid the locker room of all those people. I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys are familiar with that, but if you don't know, yeah, that's the whole point behind Jon Moxley's whole gimmick right now in regards to the Death Riders. It'd be nice if you gave a better explanation, but that's not what we're here to talk about. That's the whole crux behind it, right? Art imitating life. But it goes even further. Look at Miro, for an example. We know nothing about Miro's personal life. Did we have to necessarily know about him and CJ Perry divorcing, all that stuff? No, we didn't know that until Miro had not been on television and he complained and wanted his release. Now we know. Same thing can be said about Ricky Starks. You know, all the stuff in regards to his grievances. We didn't know that, but now we know because he wants his release. Aleister Black, same thing. Didn't know that, and then he wanted his release, and now we do know that. Andrade, same thing. Didn't know that until he wanted his release, and now we know that. You can go up and down when it comes to the people who left AEW, and it's particular the ones who leave AEW who want to go to WWE. You ever notice that? Like, yeah, you might get, a rare occurrence if someone gets released. You might find out the information if it's a little bit more critical, right? Like for an example, I forgot the guy's name, but the one that got released because he was a wife beater. He admitted that he was a wife beater. I can actually say that. It's not alleged. He actually went out of his way to admit that. I forgot the guy's name, though. He was wrestling on some of the earlier shows for AEW. Now he's completely out of the wrestling business, from my understanding. He's different, right? You have to actually put out something in regards to that, because you have to give an explanation, especially around that time, because AEW never released any talent before. But there are situations, there are occurrences where they deliberately go out of their way not to bring it up. It took the wrestler themselves to bring it up, but they didn't do it themselves, right? Like the Tate twins, for an example. But typically, whenever you have this thought process, this mentality that you want to go to the competition and you want to leave AEW in the process, automatically you're deemed like persona non grata, right? You're a pariah, essentially. It's even worse, again, when you're still with the company. I can't think of a talent yet that has not want to go to WWE and has not resulted in consequences for their career. Like I said, sometimes it may explicitly be something where they're just outright disparaging the talent, or it might be a situation where they're just completely kept off of television and having their careers ruined. Because I know if I wanted to keep a person away from the competition, what I do is give them every confirmation that they need by keeping them off of television and not doing anything with them. You know what I mean? Like it's one thing to go in the news and completely character attack them, attack their personal lives, make up all the insinuations without any corroborative proof. You know what I mean? Saying he said, she said is one thing, but it's another thing to deliberately go out of your way to essentially have your wrestlers talk to other people, reporters or whatever the case may be, and then have them leak the information. Like CM Punk said, why would you do that? Why would you do that to a top talent? Why would you do that to your talent in general? These people are trying to make you money, and you're deliberately attacking them. You're deliberately putting them into a position where they're now looking weaker. And it sounds so petty, but there's a part of me that's starting to realize this, right? And I forgot the guy's name. He was in the comment session not too long ago, and he brought this up, and I dismissed it at first. He was saying the same thing. He said, hey, Devontae, maybe you should chill on the Britt Baker stuff, because they did the same thing to CM Punk. You know what I mean? Like, chill. Just recognize for a second, there's a good shot. You might be right. But also, just recognize they did this same shit to CM Punk, and they were, for all intents and purposes, wrong. Not wrong because CM Punk did do it, but wrong in the sense that they never really exclaimed the reason or the intent as to why CM Punk did what he did. There are reasons and there are explanations that you'll probably have a better understanding of if you understood it from that person's perspective without just going out of your way to crash out. And the time I'm sitting back and I'm reflecting off of Britt Baker and her situation, and it's like, yeah, maybe she did cheat. I don't know. First off, I kind of feel like that's none of my business anyways. That's kind of parasocial and it's kind of cringe, to be honest with you. But nevertheless, though, it is wrestling news, and if said situation was talked about, and in the grand scheme of things, it's content, I'm going to talk about it. But it is none of my business at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Content is content. Maybe I'll just gloss over it real quick, give my opinion in regards to the subject, but to get upset or joke around about it outside of just making disparaging comments because the person is doing the negative thing, until that evidence is actually presented, I shouldn't be doing that. Was the whole point behind the Britt Baker video last night. But nevertheless, though, the disparaging comments that are being said about said person and about their talent, like I seen somebody say something on the lines of WWE does not want Britt Baker or something along the lines of that. And that may be true. That may be true, but until like something is actually legitimately proven, like I said, I'm okay with talking about it, but I'm just very, very mindful, and I'm always going to be more, conscious as far as whenever I'm covering a topic, to make it known that all of it, and I've done it before obviously, but I just want to make it further known that this topic and this discussion, realize that like this is being talked about in regards to a disgruntled employee. You know what I mean? Like this timing and this pattern of behavior, it just can't all be coincidence, right? It just can't all be something that's like, like just all happening at one time, each time, every time, and it's all just a coincidence. Like I said, we just went down a list of employees, current wrestlers at the moment, who are being character assassinated, who are being attacked by the media, who are being left off of television on purpose whenever airing out their grievances. But the thing is, though, no one is airing out their grievances as far as they're concerned. You know what I mean? And if they're going out of their way to air out their grievances, I can't think of a time that I haven't heard someone air out their grievances until after I heard about them asking for their release. Or until after I heard about the leak in regards to their own, problems backstage. Like I said, Britt Baker can be a complete and utter bitch backstage. All these things can be true. I just find it conspicuous that we don't get any of this information at all until they make it completely known that either A, they want to go to the competition, or B, they themselves are a nuisance backstage, but they're a nuisance for reasons that we don't really have a complete grasp on yet. You know what I mean? Like with Britt Baker, for an example, right? Now, I could be wrong. I don't know. But it kind of feels like her grievances could be that, I don't know, she thinks that she's number one, and how she maybe, maybe she feels upset that, and this is just speaking from her personal perspective. You can have your own opinion in regards to her, but maybe she's speaking from her own personal perspective that she's not being treated right, in the company. Maybe she feels that she's sacrificing her time, she's sacrificing her body, or whatever the case may be, to really be at the top. And you're bringing other superstars in, or you're not considering her or factoring her into a bigger picture. And it's your prerogative whether or not you feel she deserves to be in that position. If you ask me personally, no, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I may feel bad for how I talked about Britt Baker in regards to her personal life. Again, it's very parasocial and it's kind of cringe, but as far as her wrestling stuff is considered, that's in my purview. And Britt Baker fucking sucks. I'm never gonna take that away. Britt Baker fucking sucks. And since she's came back, now granted, that can have something to do with maybe her being a little bit sickly. Maybe that can have something to do with ring rust, but she still fucking sucks, and that's not gonna change. She fucking sucks. Her microphone skills are fucking cringe, and they fucking suck, and her ring work in comparison to the other women is fucking trash. But with that being said, that doesn't take away from the fact that she does have grievances in regards to that, right? That's how she feels. And you make that known, that you want to be the best, or whatever the case may be, and you rub certain people the wrong way, then all of a sudden that news report is inside the hands of the Wrestling Observer newsletter. Then all of a sudden that report is in the hands of Fightful. Then all of a sudden those reports is in the hand of Ryan Satin. Then it's in the hands of Raj Geary. And it makes you think, right? It makes you think, how do these guys keep getting their hands on this report? It's already known when it comes to CM Punk. Sound like a Chris Jericho is a complete fucking mole who leaks shit out like that. It's very apparent and obvious, CM Punk may know this, that the Young Bucks are leaking. right? Now, to be fair, keep it consistent. Do we have proof of this? No. Has it been corroborated by anyone? No. Has evidence been shown? No. As much as people are saying CM Punk is lying, you can sit here and say that the dirt sheets are lying, and vice versa. All this shit can go around and around until you have legitimate evidence, right? My point being is the same energy that we keep for people, and this is how I look at it, right? I think I mentioned this in the comment section to some of the other people. The same energy that I keep when the reporters came after Zachary Wentz about the Kimberly stuff, right? I crashed out. That was like, what, 3 years ago? And I crashed the fuck. You guys remember that video? I crashed the fuck out on behalf of Zachary Wentz. You know, had I had a channel at the time when they came after Enzo Amore, I would have crashed the fuck out on behalf of Enzo too. I would have. Notice, I took the side of some of the dirt sheet reports when they initially came out for CM Punk, until as time started to go on, you started to see how egregious some of those things and some of those takes were. It's not as if they were lying. It's as if they didn't paint out the fuller picture and gave fuller context, as far as, and in some cases they did lie. Like when they said, for an example, the Young Bucks were just cautiously coming into the locker room to talk to CM Punk, when in reality, you know, they didn't. They came in with a lawyer, and you know, you came into a locker room when the man was super heated after he told you to come into the locker room. If you wanted something, we could start something. What the hell are you talking about? Again, it's these kind of layers of context that the dirt sheet writers go on the defense for in regards to the AEW superstars, while tearing down the opposing person who wants to leave the company or who feels disgruntled about the company in said position. Now, like I said, even with the evidence being out, you can have a solid stance even with the dirt sheet writers, right? They make it known that none of this stuff is corroborated, but at the same time, make note of the fact that what they're discussing at the moment, give your actual opinion about without being disparaging about it, because in the end of the day, you don't know what is true, you don't know what isn't true. You know what I mean? I just notice a pattern that whenever something is happening to a talent, it almost seems like it's happening on their way out of the door. Whereas you never hear about any of these things when everything is copacetic. Like, I guarantee you there's a lot of things about Swerve Strickland we don't know about. Guarantee you. But I don't know about it. And you don't know about it. And we don't know about it. But I guarantee you, if something happened with Swerve, we'll know about it. Oh, we'll definitely know about it. I guarantee you, currently at the moment, what talent can I think of right now who's probably super disgruntled right now, right? MJF. MJF's a perfect example. How much want to bet the things that MJF was involved in with that hasn't come out yet? Because, well, he's on good terms with AEW. That's how you know it's a work. That Bidding War 2024, that's how you know it's a work. It's a work because if it was true, MJF would have legitimately been gone already, because it would have been so much character attacks against him. He wouldn't even want to stay in the company because he wouldn't even want to trust the company. I'm just saying, keep in mind, and I've been told this, and now I'm starting to understand it. I'm now starting to get it. It's too coincidental that the patterns keep lining up. Just keep in mind that when you're in the good graces of AEW, when you look at all the talent who were on the show last night, you point to me who was being disparaged by the actual AEW company at that moment in time. You tell me. Versus the ones who are currently on the outs that are now being treated like, again, pariahs and talked about in disparaging ways. Just notice the pattern. That's all I'm saying. Look at Warlow too. He's another example. Where's he right now? Just keep your eyes open, keep your ears open, and keep your mind open. So always, my name is Devontae, aka Millennial Smart, and I'll be talking to you guys later. Deuces, P, Ice.